I can't help it that I look good, smell good, woo, can dance all night long. Put the cream rise to the top, oh yeah. You've been talking to the apes and the giraffes and chimpanzees again, haven't you? Yes, I'm excited!
All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Fast Freddie Rocks Youngstown. And we are coming to you, of course, from the state-of-the-art Youngstown studios in beautiful downtown Youngstown, Ohio. I'm Fast Freddie, and my co-host today is BJ Lisko from the Turbo Lovers. And Joe has the night off, but he forgot to lock up the rye whiskey. So I think we'll be sampling a little bit of this tonight, of course. And as always, in our official glasses from the Navy mess at the White House. And our buddy James Minoski is one of the chefs, one of the top chefs in the Navy, and is also stationed at the White House. So that's where we got those glasses from. So we salute all our veterans and everybody serving in the military. And we'll pour a little bit of this while Joe's not around. And sometimes he hides this stuff, I think. Yeah. So anyways, what's been going on, BJ? How you doing, man? What's new? What's new and exciting?
Not a whole lot, man. Just busy working and stuff. Turbo Lovers actually just finished up the first half of our record as far as tracking and stuff goes. So we'll get mixes on those back and have a video for that early next year. So
that'll be cool.
We'll add a couple of those start the next year before we finish the next record, before we finish it off at some point next year.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I was with the Apocalyptic Lovers the other day.
Yeah.
And I recorded a little bit of voice work for in between one of their songs or something. So
I saw that. They stole my idea.
Well, and you see me all the time more than those guys, you know. But yeah, so that's going to be coming out too, and I'm sure they're going to be having a listening party first over at West Side Bowl, and then
nice.
We'll see where it goes. So yeah, I had a nice time hanging out with them the last couple of days, or when was that? Last week sometime. But anyways, that's what's going on. Let's see, you did some good interviews lately. The Clarks, didn't you interview Scott from the Clarks?
Yeah, well, actually, that was from back in the summer, but I just okay.
Yeah, you're allowed to do it.
They were at West Side Bowl, you know what I mean? So
right.
Try to get as much mileage out of it as we can and stuff too. So yeah, I put that one up, and then the Vindies were at the West Side Bowl last weekend too. So I put up a couple clips of that.
Yeah,
just kind of rolling some stuff out. Yeah, a bunch of wrestlers lately.
Oh, okay. Good. Well, you can't go wrong with wrestlers.
No,
I am just so into, like, on my reels that come up all the time. As some of the vintage old school going back to like studio wrestling and stuff and Southwest wrestling, and just seeing how like those promos and stuff from back then, how they have changed over the years, and even just the crowd, a lot of those studio wrestling were just that, a ring in a studio, and the people are like right there yelling stuff and everything. And
I'm looking forward to, so the WWE is moving to Netflix at the beginning of next year.
Oh, okay.
And so what I hope happens, so the WWE Network, I don't know if you ever had that. It was great. Like, you could go back and had all the archives and all the stuff on it. Well, when they moved that to Peacock, all that stuff like got buried and you couldn't find anything. Like, they had the Mid-South stuff on there and Smoky Mountain Wrestling, all these great old school wrestling and all the old school studio shows. But hopefully when they move to Netflix, all that comes back and it's easy to find the stuff, and it's like the network was, years ago.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that, because me and my son a couple of weeks ago, we were watching some of those old matches, and they had one. It was Monday Night Raw at Beeghly Center, and I had front row seats to that, and we're sitting in the front row, and it was just crazy. And that place was packed, man. Back in the day when they used to do Monday Night Raw, well, one of the very first ones they did was at Struthers Fieldhouse.
Yeah.
And it was right before WrestleMania or SummerSlam was coming to Pittsburgh, and they had the WWE blimp flying over Struthers, and that was back in the day where they would tape like 3 shows in a night. But it was a lot of fun, and some of those clips are on there. But this one at Beeghly, the headlining match was Razor Ramon against Shawn Michaels, and I'll tell you, they say that is still one of the best matches on Monday Night Raw. A lot of people, it's on their list. And those guys went at it for probably a half hour, and it was just a battle. And we were right in the front row, and I had a foam Razor Ramon razor, and it was really crazy. But it was good to see that. And Macho Man was the host along with Vince, and it was a lot of fun. Yeah, back in the day, man, when they were first starting, before it got so big, they would do all these shows at Beeghly, Struthers Fieldhouse, stuff like that. And, we'd always be a part of them. So I was able to bring my son, and he'd come in and would hang out backstage and would, just have a media table set up back there. And all the guys, as they would come in, we would interview them. And it was a lot of fun.
I saw one at Packard Music Hall back then. It was maybe 93, 94. The main event match, it was I know the Undertaker beat Adam Bomb. I remember that. Yokozuna, I think, sat on Tatanka. That was it. I think that was the main event. Yokozuna beat the hell out of Tatanka, and that was that. So
yeah. One of my favorite ones backstage. It was the Sheik and Sergeant Slaughter. Okay, so they're backstage. And beforehand, they had a big roaster full of stuffed cabbage. So the Sheik comes in. He must eat a dozen stuffed cabbage before he's going in the ring, right? And he's just sitting there, and I'm watching it, and he had the tights on and his belly sticking out and everything. And he's got the shoes on, of course.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there, and he's just stuffing these stuffed cabbage one after another, So then he goes and sits in a chair, and he's like leaning back in the chair, and he's sleeping. Well, it's time for their match or so. And somebody says, "Hey, somebody get the Sheik." And I forget who it was. They kicked the chair out from under where he had his feet. And he was like flying around, and he just went out there in the ring. And it was one of those matches where he just come out and he's waving the flag, the Iranian flag, and he's yelling all kinds of stuff and everything. And, this goes on. And then all of a sudden, Slaughter comes out, and Slaughter turns his back, and he cold cocks him from behind with the flag. And that was the end of the match. And then Sheik just comes back down and goes and plops right in his chair and goes right back to sleep like he didn't miss a beat,
That's why he's eating all the stuffed cabbages. All he had to do is whack.
Yeah. I was waiting for him. Yeah. Yeah. One big fart would have cleaned out the whole audience there. But that was one of my memorable ones there at Beeghly Center. Another time, some guy proposed to his wife on a national TV, and Jerry the King Lawler was brutal with the commentary. The King was just on there calling her a dog and all this and that. And of course, the people in the ring had no idea what he was saying. But then when you ended up watching the thing, it was like, oh man, the King is just hammering these poor people, He's calling her a dog, and they're going to have a nice litter of puppies when they get married and all this stuff. But they were diehard wrestling fans, so they really dug it. I think they got divorced since then. This was years ago, and I ran into them, somewhere. Hey, remember us? We proposed to the King, or we proposed on Monday Night Raw, and it was like, yeah. But I guess what happened was, and even with the Covelli Center, I don't know if it's still an issue, but I guess when they went to their high def setup to do all these broadcasts, it wouldn't fit into a lot of these places. They couldn't. I know the Covelli Center was one for sure, and like some of these places like Packard they haven't done anything in Struthers Fieldhouse in ages.
Yeah, they used to be. Yeah, you're right. I remember growing up, there was stuff there constantly.
Yeah.
There was always stuff, whether it was boxing or wrestling, or they had concerts.
Yeah.
Different concerts there. And stuff.
Oh, yeah. And even going back in the day, like Yes played there, Alice Cooper played there, James Brown played there, Joe Walsh played there. So they had a pretty long list. Michael Stanley played there several times. And then, they had a pretty long list of different bands that played there. And then on that TV show back in the day, they had this TV show. It was called Route 66. And I forget who was in it. One of the guys from Adam 12. And it was like these two guys, they were driving around the country. I don't know exactly what their thing was. And they went to see their idol who was boxing in Youngstown. And the boxing match was at Struthers Fieldhouse. And like the guy was a washed up has-been. And so the other guy was bummed out when he saw him. But I think they gave him the courage or the determination to go out there and actually win the fight, which I think some mobsters had it fixed or whatever. But man, when you watch that, I mean, they're just all over Struthers and Poland Avenue and Camel, and it's really now when you watch it, it's like, boy, it's a good thing that somebody filmed all this, because you could see all the mills and stuff in the background and Struthers Fieldhouse. But yeah, that I'll tell you what, Struthers Fieldhouse back in the day, man, that used to be the place, you know.
Yeah, I wonder why they don't book anything really there anymore. I mean, I just don't know, just because other places around here probably.
Yeah, I think, you know, you got Packard Music Hall, you got the Covelli Center, you got the Amp. I think there's just too many other places now.
And the Dior and
Robbins Theater. So, you know, I'm sure some of those bands that play the Robbins Theater, that side crowd would fit in there, you know. But yeah, I think one of the last shows I saw there was Michael Stanley. It was really good. Packed, sold out, of course, you know. But yeah, going back to the like 70s, and you know what? I should look that up on my phone. Bands that have played at Struthers Fieldhouse. But yeah, I definitely remember Alice Cooper when they first come out, and they were so controversial, and people were like, oh, what are these people? Is it a dude? Is it a chick? And oh, what's going on? You know?
Yeah, let's see if we can find it.
Yeah, bands that played Struthers Fieldhouse. I know
Struthers Fieldhouse concert history.
Oh, there we go.
Now let's see if we can do a couple here. Trapped and Seether played there back in 2004 and 2006.
Oh yeah, that was a good one. That was packed. I remember that one.
2 there. Let's see if we got anything else.
Okay, boxing. Yeah, the Golden Gloves too. When the Golden Gloves were at Struthers Fieldhouse, I mean, that was back in the day, like especially when Boom Boom was coming up and everything. I mean, every night that they had that, and sometimes it'd be 2-3 nights for the first bouts, and that it was always sold out. And there was probably more fights in the arena than there was in the ring, because everybody was a drunk tough guy, you know. But it was crazy. Like all the mobsters would be there, and all the politicians, and Casey Malone's dad, Vince Gilmartin, used to sing the national anthem. And they would boo him because probably he was the prosecutor at the time, so probably half the people in the crowd, he probably put them or one of their relatives in the in jail. So the people that fought at Struthers Fieldhouse include Harry Arroyo, Ray Mancini, Hector Macho Camacho, and Kelly Pavlik, all champions that fought in Struthers Fieldhouse. Then there goes WWE, 80s and 90s. Okay, May 23rd, 1994. And then a year later, June 5th, 1995. That's when they filmed those episodes of Monday Night Raw, which was really cool. And then that's what took some of their business too, was Beeghly Center. Yeah. Beeghly Center, once they built that, then they started getting concerts there. I forgot all about that. So James Brown, like I said, Velvet Underground, but it wasn't with Lou Reed. The Guess Who played there, the real Guess Who, not that one that was touring for a while that had not one original dude. I'm surprised it took Burton Cummings till like now to like get the name back, because those guys went for years and years and years. But I guess there was some kind of legal technicality, or somebody forgot to file some paperwork. And this guy, I think he was a drummer for a while. And I guess he somehow got word that, hey, nobody filled that paperwork out. I think I will. Yeah, right. But to me, you know, some bands I could see that they evolve. But that, to me, that was just a blatant ripoff. You know, when you think Guess Who, you're thinking Burton Cummings and Randy Bachman, no matter what. And so this guy comes out, who was the drummer. I'm pretty sure he was the drummer. And they're playing in places like Robbins Theater, and they got guys in there younger than you and me, you know, like some metal looking dude with long hair just shredding and stuff like that. And it's like, that they don't look quite like I remember they did. Right, yeah.
A lot of bands like that now. With one guy or one. Some of Foreigner isn't even any. Foreigner has heroes. Yeah, no Foreigner that was in Foreigner anymore.
Yeah, and Lou Graham will be at Robbins Theater this weekend. So that's coming up. I'll give a little plug in for that. I was supposed to interview him today, and my wires got crossed. I thought I was supposed to interview him on Thursday or Wednesday, And then I get a note. Hey, we've been trying to call you. I'm like, and I didn't even see it. Like, hey, hang on, I'll run in and or drop what I'm doing. But so let's see. Yeah, Sly and the Family Stone played there. I think Sly and the Family Stone got Joe Walsh opened. And I don't think Sly and the Family Stone even got a chance to play because the crowd was so rowdy and the place was so packed, and the cops ended up shutting it down. Yeah, so I do remember that Finger 11 and Trapped and Shinedown, Seether, Hailstorm. Yeah, that was in 2006. That was a good show. That might be one of the last rock shows that was ever there. But I remember that, and I think also that summer, some of them same guys played at B&B Backstage. Remember that place?
They do.
Yeah. That used to be a fun place for shows, the B&B Backstage,
That was a cool place.
And you know what? Let's see some of the people that played at Beeghly Center. Why don't you look that up? Because they had a lot of good shows there. I know Aerosmith played there. I think Rush was supposed to play there, and then they changed the date, and they didn't. And I am going to say probably one of the last shows at Beeghly Center was probably Joe Cocker.
There's a couple random ones on here.
Okay, Three Doors Down and Seether.
They had WWE Raw was there. Paul Abdul played there in 1989.
I don't remember that one. Paul Abdul was not. Tone Loc, Lisa, and Cult Jam, and the infamous Milli Vanilli.
Milli Vanilli was on stage. I don't know if he played.
Okay, Golden Earring played there in 1976.
Golden Earring. Let's see what else we got. Oh, that's the YSU.
Let's see. You know what? Maybe hit Images. Maybe there'll be like some posters and flyers or tickets and stuff from around. Okay, there's one for you. How about that one? This was
there's the Guess Who? There's James Taylor.
Yeah. How about Blood, Sweat, and Tears, Cheech and Chong, and Gary Wright with Dreamweaver?
Oh, that's one of my least favorite songs ever. Gary Wright's Dreamweaver.
It is so down,
The whole beginning of it, that whole weird like spaceship thing that's going on, is just brutally bad.
Yeah, I don't know if that's one that really aged well or not.
It was bad with me from the start, but yeah, then Third Eye Blind playing there.
Yeah, let's see. And now I know Aerosmith played there. I know Michael. Okay, who's that down there in the corner? Yeah, Aerosmith, and I think Rush was supposed to open.
REO Speedwagon.
Yeah.
Rush and Aerosmith.
Yeah, and I think that
the same thing.
I think that look at that. Back in the day, YSU major events, rocks inflation with three big groups: REO Speedwagon, Rush, and Aerosmith. For tickets, $4 in advance, $5 at the show. And what are some of the ticket outlets on there? I can't quite see it. White Wing Records in North Lima. I remember that place.
I don't know. Let me see if I can get a bigger version of this.
Oh, there we go. Scorpio and Warren and Liberty.
Scorpio, White Ring Records, Chess King in Southern Park Mall, Greenbush Company, and Curios downtown Youngstown, and Bullwinkles in Poland.
Oh man, yeah, that's pretty crazy back then. Okay, here's some more. Let's see. Aerosmith, REO Speedwagon. See, that must have
Cheech and Chong.
Yeah, with Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Blood, Sweat, and Tears at the Tomorrow Club was the first show. Oh, what do we got? Oh, that's at Aerosmith, Rush, and REO. Blood, Sweat, and Tears at the Tomorrow Club in Youngstown was the first show where the cops really backed off on busting people for weed. It's one of the early shows, and I guess the Jay Giles Band, and the Golden Earring and the Stampeders. Nice. I'll tell you what, Jay Giles, man, they used to play around this area a lot. Now, there's a band that you sit there and wonder, why aren't these guys in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, they just embody rock and roll, and they're just they're just one of those bands that just had that whole rock and roll feel, the rock and roll attitude. And I'm surprised they're not even mentioned in the mix,
Yeah, no, there's still a couple really big snubs out of there. They're one of them. Meatloaf's not in. That's a really big one. I just saw Iron Maiden a few weeks ago. They were fantastic. Like globally, it's one of the biggest bands.
Which one?
Iron Maiden.
Oh yeah. Yes. So how was the Maiden show? I didn't get a chance to go.
They're fantastic. Yeah, they're always probably the 5th or 6th time I've seen made. They're always incredible. Yeah, great stage show. Like Bruce Dickinson sounds amazing.
Yeah,
everybody just it's flawless. Yeah, those guys are great.
Yeah, I think the last time I saw them, this goes back a while because Motorhead opened, so it was Maiden, Motorhead, and there was one more band like that. Maybe it was Dawkins. Could have been Dawkins or Dio.
Motorhead, and was Priest on that or no?
They might have been. They might have been.
I remember Motorhead opening. I can't remember who the third band was. It might have been Dio.
Yeah,
Dio
might have been Dio.
I think it was Motorhead, Dio, and Maiden. That was like early 2000s.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one. Hey, my buddy Dave is chiming in here today. What's up, Dave? Dave is happy. He's a big Browns fan. We had that big win on Thursday. Oh, that was amazing. That was absolutely amazing, man. And, with the Browns, you got to wait all the way until the end, too. Steelers had the ball, and they're going, and you're just waiting for that long pass and that Hail Mary, or something goofy happens, and we get a penalty, and they get one more play from the goal line. But that was actually pretty good. That was actually pretty good. Speaking of which, Bernie Kosar's birthday is today. Happy birthday to Bernie. And here's something about Bernie that maybe some people don't know. Bernie was 10-4 against the Steelers. Bernie was like the Steelers killer. Nice. But you know what? The one time I was interviewing Bernie, and he was talking about how him and Franco Harris were friends and buddies and like would golf together and always sit with each other at these banquets and stuff. And I was like, Bernie, I'm really disappointed in you because, I got people in my family that sometimes I just quit talking to because they're Steelers fans and I find them so obnoxious and I want nothing to do with them. And you're out there. I said, I don't want to hear about you out there having dinner with Franco. Come on. That's Franco Harris, Bernie. What are you doing, man? I know you took a couple bumps to the head, but,
I miss Bernie when he would call the preseason games, and he was just great because he would just tell like it is. You can't be on here anymore, Bernie, because he would call people out on there or whatever. Yeah, he was great though. He was amazing to listen to.
Yeah, he was. And then they knocked him off because of that betting thing, which was really kind of stupid. It wasn't like he was. It was like in the open. He was, And the way that pro sports is so tied in with gambling these days, right. It's unbelievable. When each team has their own betting, official betting partner, and they just encourage you to bet on all these games, and then they wonder why people think some of these games are fixed, right. Because it's just crazy. But yeah, man, think about it, man. Back in the day, anything that had to do with gambling that came near any professional sports team was like, man, and now it's just like that's all they advertise during the games. Who ever heard of the official betting partner of the Cleveland Browns or the official betting partner of Major League Baseball? It's and it's like you were talking about Pete Rose before too. It's like all right, I get it, I understand, but yeah, now that betting is so tied in with everything, and you're gonna keep punishing people for having bet or whatever, it just seems silly now. Yeah. A little rye whiskey there to keep us rolling. But think about how much money the mob must have made on gambling back in the day. That's why they were killing each other and blowing each other up and stuff. I can only imagine the money that was out there, all in cash, and these barboot games they had going and card games. And I can only imagine what it must have been for them to actually, blow each other up over this money, Yeah, no, before gambling was legal, I'm sure everybody else said this is not new. I had a bookie, I had a guy that I bet through, and it was more fun than I was actually just talking to my buddy the other day, and he's like he's so desensitized to gambling and stuff now, and he's so sick of seeing all the advertisements because it's on everything every minute, and it's everything. Oh, what's the spread on this? And fantasy and points, and that
He's like, man, I miss when it was illegal.
Yeah,
it's a bit more fun when it was illegal.
And pretty much you had, you could bet like the over under or the point spread,
right,
and a football pool.
Yeah,
I mean those are like your main three that you had to choose from. Now you're sitting there and you could bet on every single thing. Yeah. You look over on these things and you're going, who scores the first touchdown? Will this guy score more than 2 touchdowns? How many yards passing? How many yards rushing? Who scores the first touchdown? Who scores the last touchdown of the game?
It's way too easy to lose money too fast now.
Oh, yeah.
Your phone is click, click, click. And it's like
yeah.
Like, I thought I wanted that, but I'm like, now that that's on there, it's so easy. It's like I've gotten way worse at gambling because you're just so much more likely just to throw a bet down on something that you shouldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how you lose all your money.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, and then they make it look so inviting, okay? Because maybe you get some of those, those parlays, and then you get some of these prop bets, and then you got like 4 or 5 of them on there, and you're looking at winning maybe $1,500 on a $5-10 bet. And then all of a sudden, then you realize how impossible it really is for all 7 of those things to line up, Yeah. Okay, yeah. Chubb's got to score 2 touchdowns, and this guy's got to pass for so much, and this guy's got to get sacked twice, and I win $1,500 just like that.
There was a great one of those prop bets I saw that dropped like from a couple weeks ago, and I can't remember who it was, but they were over it. It was a quarterback, and he was over the thing for rushing yards. It might have been the guy from the Dolphins, and he'd beat it, right? And he was over it by like 20 some yards. So you think, oh, that's good. Later in the game, he's scrambling around in the backfield. He gets sacked for like a 30-yard loss, and he goes under the total. So if you had him over, you lost on that fluke play at the end.
Oh, man.
Like, oh, man, that was.
And so, you know what? That's probably why more people think it's fixed too, is because they're betting on more things. And then when you see something like that, it's like, yeah, that was fixed, man. That guy did that on purpose.
Somebody definitely smashed their TV over that one.
Oh, you know it. You know it. Hey, my buddy Jay Bird checking in. He likes the South Side shirt. Thank you, Jay. Thank you. Yeah, I wore it special for the show tonight. Jay and I were down at Trans-Siberian Orchestra on Thursday night. Or was it Friday? Maybe it was Saturday. Friday. I'm going to go with Friday.
I think it was a weekday because I think
Friday. Yeah, Friday. I'll tell you what, they did probably 2 near sellouts for both shows.
Nice.
And I got to say, I've seen them before, but this time around, it seemed really, really good. Maybe because I was there with Jay Bird and I was in a different mindset or whatever. But no, I'll tell you what, it was really excellent. And, I was looking at it too from like the production standpoint. And, you're in the music stuff. What must they do to put a show together like that? Mm-hmm. I mean, just the lighting. How does that guy create that lighting show? I mean, it was spectacular. I mean, all these lasers for the whole show for 2.5 hours. And how do you decide that, you know what, we're going to bring these down in blue and gold. And then on the next song, we're going to come up and we're going to have them spinning. And then we're going to blast off this pyro and, and it was flawless. And, just the videos and the graphics and stuff that they had, and to just see this all come together, and you're just shaking your head like, man alive, So I don't know. They must rehearse that for months,
Yeah, the work that they put into that is insane. The production value that they put to that show, it's just, it's wild.
You're sitting there and you're going, man, there's my sister. Speaking of loser Steeler fans that I, would have probably been better off not talking to today, but I could, I like how the Steelers fans are all like, oh yeah, hey, nice game. Yeah, you guys did good. It's like, it's bugging you, but they're all acting real nice. Like, oh, thanks. Hey, good game, man. Good game. And that sort of thing. But you know what? I do happen to have, since we do probably have some people that are interested in this. Oh, here's one you might want to remember, because I know when I'm going to be at the Quaker Steak and Lube in Austintown for the next Browns Steelers game. And I'll tell you what. Oh, Jay Bird's still bragging about the TSO show. It was really that good. It was really that good. And like I say, the amount of time and the creativity that goes in that, and the bands were sounding awesome, man. I mean, the guys in the band, most of the guys are like metal guys from like Sabotage, and they have two different troops that go out. And the drummer that was in the other group was that Blas Elias from Slaughter was the drummer in that other one. And, these guys are all like metal dudes out there. And, they got a Christmas song and these guys are shredding. But the sound was really good, too. The sound was perfect. It wasn't too loud. Or, I went to see Dave Matthews the other day. He was in Pittsburgh like a week or so ago. And I was surprised on how bad the sound was there. It wasn't really that good. At PPG Paints Arena. And it was like the bass and the drums were just too loud, especially for him with some of that acoustic stuff. I mean, you couldn't hear the sax, you couldn't hear the acoustic guitar. And it was just like they just had this drum beat and the bass just boom, boom, boom. And you're like, okay, not for Dave Matthews, maybe for outside, maybe they're used to doing it outside. And
sometimes there's wonky ones. Last time I saw Judas Priest down here at Cavelli, the sound wasn't good at all either. It was just like, it was weird. It was either, it just didn't sound right. It was distorted, or like there were certain parts that were just out of whack. But just every once in a while you get a weird front of house mix. What
show reminded me of that? It was like one of them bands. I think it was Papa Roach, Shinedown, Buck Cherry, and there was somebody else in there of all those bands. And it was just so loud. There was no separation or anything. Yeah. It was just like a wall of noise coming at you, and it was just and I go to loud concerts and stuff, but sometimes loud and just loud for being loud. And that's how this was. There was no separation, no nothing. It was just like a big wall of noise.
You'll get that sometimes. It's odd. It's funny you mentioned PPG, and my wife's a big John Mayer fan. We saw him there, and the sound was good. That's sort of similar as far as Dave Matthews and as far as intensity or whatever is going on, but it sounded amazing.
I'll tell you, the last couple of shows I went there, I went to that ELO. That sounded awesome. That was a show that the sound was. They did those songs better than the record. They really did, and it just seemed like it had a new energy and everything. And I'll tell you, he definitely went out. Jeff Lynne went out with a bang on that one. He definitely went out in style.
Nice. So I saw when Maiden was at PPG too, Iron Maiden. So that sounded amazing. It sounds great for that one.
Yeah.
Too. So good stuff.
Yeah. And on this tour, Dave Matthews only did like about, I think 6, 7 shows, 8 shows, which is a little mini tour. And I think PPG Paints was the second night. So maybe they were just, dialing it in a little bit, and they just didn't get it quite right yet. But, especially for him, you don't need that. It's Dave Matthews. It's not boom, boom, boom,
One of the concerts I went to back in the day, the loudest concert I was ever at was a Motorhead show. It was Motorhead at the Cleveland Agora. And it was so loud when they started, and I had earplugs in even too. It was so loud. Yeah. I didn't know what song they were playing until they were playing Bomber to open the show, and I didn't know it was Bomber until like a minute to go in the song. I'm like, so loud.
I figured that out.
Motorhead was so loud.
Oh, hey, you know what we better do? Let's get our interview in, and then we'll get back here because I want to talk a little bit about in honor of Bernie Kosar's birthday. I want to talk about some of his stellar performances against the Steelers. I know my sister would love to hear that.
Gotcha.
I'm sure that she wants to hear that. So anyways, coming up tomorrow, we got a big show over at the Covelli Center. It's the Nitro Circus. And, this is the Extreme Games. This is a runoff from the Extreme Games. And they have, BMW and motocross and extreme motocross. And they have that one dude, Wheels, that does all those tricks in a wheelchair. I wanted to interview Wheels, but he had some stuff going on. But yeah, like that dude, man, I mean, they get him on that ramp and they push him down there and he does like a triple back flip in his wheelchair and stuff, man. I mean, he's badass,
Nice.
And, they do motorcycles and skateboards and BMX bikes, and there's a lot going on. And with us, our guest tonight is Adam Smith, and Adam has been at this for a while. So let's talk with him. Gearing up for a big night of excitement tomorrow at the Covelli Center in downtown Youngstown. Tuesday night, it's the return of the Nitro Circus. And if you're ready for some high-flying action, some high-flying fun, crazy stunts, crazy tricks, the Covelli Center is the place to be. And with me right now is one of the guys that is going to make it happen, Adam Jones. Adam, how you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. Just enjoying your lovely town here in Youngstown and getting ready for a show tomorrow.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, actually, though, you're kind of familiar with this neighborhood because you're from right down the road in Warrendale, Pennsylvania. So this is kind of like right in your backyard.
Yeah, I actually grew up racing around eastern Ohio a lot when I was young. So it's kind of cool to be back here, definitely real close to the hometown. I think it's about an hour back to where I grew up outside of Pittsburgh. So this is the closest stop that we have to be considered a hometown stop for me, so I'm really excited.
Oh, that's good. So you have some family members and stuff coming to the show?
Yep, absolutely. Some family, old friends, and when I say old friends, I mean that because we're all pretty old now.
Yeah, sure, that's right. Now, tell everybody what they can expect that have never seen the Nitro Circus. What's it all about? What's going to go down tomorrow at the Covelli Center?
Well, Nitro Circus is just the pinnacle of action sports, enjoyable action sports show. You know, you get to see the best in all areas of action sports: skateboards, scooters, bicycles, motorcycles. But on top of that, we also have, you know, it's a whole production. It's a lot of fun, and it's put together in a way that's exciting and entertaining for all ages, really. So you see the craziest stuff, and you see it put together in a way that's extremely fun and entertaining.
Now, I know over the years, you know, the different people that have taken part in the Nitro Circus, different cast members. I mean, you have people that hold world records. I know you have a bronze medal in freestyle motocross. So these are some really crazy athletes that do some crazy stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, most of the guys are all X Games medalists or at least X Games competitors. It really is the cream of the crop when it comes to action sports athletes that are, you know, on the floor doing the Nitro Circus shows.
Now, explain what freestyle motocross is all about.
Freestyle motocross is basically just jumping and doing tricks. I guess you could say we couldn't cut it in the racing industry, so we had to find another way to make it work on two wheels. But no, as a kid, I really enjoyed the jumping aspect of riding. When we were racing, it was always most exciting part of the lap was the finish line jump. And yeah, it's just taking dirt bikes and doing a couple modifications to them, setting up ramps. The typical gap's about 75 foot, and then in the air, you got to figure out in what crazy ways you can move your body and what ways you can flip the bike, and that's basically what freestyle motocross is.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Now, how did you get involved in that? Is that something that your parents are like all in on? Because I'm probably a little older than you, and back in my day, you know, the big thing was kids would build ramps and they wanted to be Evel Knievel, and we would jump over all kinds of crazy stuff with these little homemade ramps, and you know, some people thought, oh, this is so dangerous. What are these crazy kids doing? And then, of course, you know, skateboards come along and the same thing. So were your parents like supportive when you say, hey, you know what, I want to get in here and start doing tricks on a motorcycle?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, we grew up racing around western Pennsylvania and eastern Ohio, and they were all in on that. You know, we raced every weekend as a family. We loaded up the truck or the old beat-up RV my dad bought for the weekend, and we went racing. We always did that. And like I said, jumping was always the thing that I enjoyed the most. And when I was about 17 years old, it kind of just accidentally progressed into me having an opportunity to do freestyle motocross professionally. And, you know, I wasn't running around building ramps, chasing ramps and all that sort of stuff, but I was good at it, and an opportunity came up. And yeah, 100%, they supported everything that I did. They helped me get on the road, basically put me in a truck with Mad Mike Jones when I was 17 years old, sent me across the country, and they were like, yep, give it hell. So
that is very cool, because I know some parents would probably be like, oh, what are you doing? You're crazy. Why are you going out there? But obviously you're from a motorcycle racing family, and it seems like this is your thing, and they are very supportive. So that's very cool. That's very cool. So now, when you were first starting out on this, did you ever get injured, or how do you plan out what tricks you're going to do? And I'm sure it takes a lot of practice, and you know, how does that whole thing go? Are there some injuries involved along the way to learn all this stuff?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, because I was driving to this place we're going to today, and I saw a sign that said Akron. We're obviously somewhat near Akron, which we used to race there a bunch when I was a kid. that was my first big injury. You talk about the injuries. I broke my femur at Akron Indoors when I was 14 or 15 years old. And, there's been quite a few, as you're learning, coming up through the ranks, you're constantly pushing a little bit past your comfort zone. So I do think that's when a majority of the accidents happen. And, nowadays I have been doing this for a really long time. I'm a little bit older. I kind of know what I'm doing and what I want to do. And I think you can maintain better now. But the road to this point, it's full of a lot of landmines that you got to do your best to navigate. A lot of practice,
Right.
I have been doing this for a long time. I am a little bit older, but I stay on the bike. You've got to keep that muscle memory strong, and you got to make sure that all the stuff that we do in the air is complete second nature. If you're thinking about it too much, you're going to mess it up. It's got to be natural.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. So I'm looking over your bio, and I think it said you started here in like 1995 and doing this. And then, if I'm not mistaken, the first freestyle motocross backflip was like around 2002. What was that like as a game changer to you? When you saw somebody like did a backflip on a motocross, what impact did that have on your whole sport?
Yeah, well, actually, it made me think that I didn't actually want to do this because I had never backflipped anything. I probably couldn't backflip on a trampoline at that point on my feet. I couldn't backflip anything. So I thought, this is the end of my hopes and dreams of being a freestyle motocross rider. And then, one thing led to another. I just kind of kept following the path and chasing it with all my heart. And just, the right opportunities once again came up. I learned to flip. I got really good at it and really comfortable with it to where, it became another one of those things I didn't even have to think about anymore. So, it really scared me when I was a kid. I really didn't want to do that. The first time somebody did a backflip on a dirt bike, I was like, I hate that, man,
What are you guys trying to do here? We had this cool little thing going here, this cool scene, and now you're going to come over and mess it up for everybody.
Yeah, but it completely revolutionized the sport. I don't think freestyle motocross would have gotten to where it actually did get to without that. So, it kind of thinned the herd a little bit. It kind of changed the game and gave maybe some different people some different opportunities, and it was really great for everything. So, yeah.
That's very cool. So what are some of your favorite stunts to do? What do you like to do, or what are some of your signature moves? What is your whole like freestyle, or, does it change, or, how do you go about that?
Yeah, well, I'm basically my strong point is what's called bar tricks. So basically, if you're riding on the bike, you're holding on to the handlebars. Bar tricks are when you kind of jump up, you put your feet in between your arms, but over the handlebars,
Yeah.
and then you go in front of the bike in that area. Those are considered bar tricks. I guess I just have the build for it mainly, and I enjoy them and I'm good at them. So there's tricks called Shaolin, dead body. We do them all in backflips as well. So all these tricks that I can do right side up, basically we do in backflip combinations, and that's my wheelhouse is bar trick and bar trick backflips.
Well, that sounds great. So now what does the future hold for you? Do you have some things you're working on? Is there some kind of stunts that you want to pull off that you haven't been able to master yet? Do you continue on with this for a long time, or what are your plans for the future?
For me, my goal is to continue on with this for a long time, and not so much to progress in my own personal riding. There's a lot of other guys that are still doing that. I'm pretty content with the level of my riding right now as compared to my age. I want to stay strong. I want to stay riding really well, and I want to focus on finding ways of, make it just really bringing out the enjoyment factor. Some people want to chase the contest. I did that for, 20 years probably, or a little less than 20 years. I chased the contest, and I want to chase the show now, and I want to put on great shows for people. I want people to come out and see action sports, have an awesome time, and, I really want to try to ride my best, be a part of it on the bike, and also assist in making these things the best that they can be for everybody involved. And I've started my own freestyle motocross company as well called FMX Rampage. So when I'm not doing Nitro Circus, I'm I'm running around putting on my own events, and I find that to be really fun. I love riding it. I love hosting it. I love working on it, and that's all really enjoyable for me.
Well, that is very cool. Well, Adam, we are getting ready for a big night of action tomorrow at the Covelli Center, and I know it's high adrenaline. It is high flying, backflips, crazy stuff, wheelchair athletes, skateboards, motocross, you name it. It's all going to go down tomorrow at the Covelli Center. Now, where can people find you? Are you on Facebook? Do you have a website? How can they get in contact with you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on all the socials, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, although I don't really, try to look at them too often, but
right.
It's just Adam Jones 760. I'm on all those, but you can find me at your local Nitro Circus show, which just happens to be right down the road tomorrow. So come on, say hi. They got a pre-show track walk. We get to meet all the riders and get some autographs and stuff like that. And it really is just a great show for all ages, for all different types of people, whether you're into action sports or not. It's a lot of fun. So I hope that people will come on out and support their local Daredevils.
All right, sounds good. Adam Jones, thanks for taking some time out with us, and have a great show tomorrow night down at the Covelli Center. We're gearing up for a big night of excitement tomorrow.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. We got it.
All right, man. Well, there we have it. That's going to be a lot of fun tomorrow. That harkens back to, what's his name? Travis Pastrana started a lot of that Nitro Circus stuff, if I'm not mistaken. And then you had all the guys from Jackass. Boy, that was a fun era. The Jackass era was a lot of fun. Now you see those guys are all old now. And, although I see Steve-O's going to do some kind of show. He's going on tour doing something. But, those guys, they really had a lot of broken bones and things like that. They must have did a lot of painkillers. That's all I got to think of.
I'm sure. Yeah. Like some of those stunts those guys did, like, good God.
Well, how about the Jackass where they were doing the thing, the bull teeter-totter, where they had these rodeo bulls are coming at them and they try to jump up. And, oh, man. I remember Steve-O and Wee Man came to the Wedge in Austintown one time, and it was a complete disaster. And people were there starting at like 6 o'clock or something. They didn't get there until about 1:30, maybe 1:45. And the people in the audience were getting antsy and they were getting drunk and, hey, where's these assholes at and everything. And then people start doing their own Jackass thing and people were busting bottles over their heads and stuff like that,
Well, what could they do for the last 15 minutes when they're there? They had to close the place.
They come in. And Steve-O chugged the bottle of Jack, and Wee Man punched him in the balls. And then I think he puked, and they did a couple other things, and that was pretty much it. And everybody was pissed.
When was that? Well, was it been? I got to be 2006.
Yeah, somewhere in there. Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to believe that's almost like 20 years now. That's hard to remember, 2006. I was even seeing, we were talking about some of those shows with like Seether and those guys, and I'm going, wow, that was a while ago, that was what, 20 years ago? Wait a minute. How could 2003 be 21 years ago? How are you figuring that?
Yeah, Turbo Lover started 20 years ago in 2004, which is insane. It's crazy. It's like 20 years.
On the new millennium, I remember we took a bus to see Metallica and Kid Rock on New Year's Day 2000. And I can't believe that was 25 years ago, coming up on 25 years. Where did that go? I mean, and Kid Rock was the opener and he was just starting. So everybody thought he was like a rapper and stuff. But then he did like Sweet Home Alabama, and we're an American band, and he unfurled a big Confederate flag, and then after that, everybody loved him. Oh, this dude's all right. I don't want to hear this rap shit, man. I don't want to hear this crap. And then all of a sudden, once he did American Band and Sweet Home Alabama, I think, and he dropped the Confederate flag, and everybody, this dude's he rocks, man. And the other part I remember that of Viking Jim pissing his pants on the bus. You knew it was going to be a good year. Some people had the ball drop. We had Vike piss his pants.
Not a party to Vike pisses his pants.
Exactly. Everybody knows that. I don't even know why we have to say that. But Bernie Kosar had the most passing yards in a game versus the Steelers on November 23rd, 1986. 414 yards for Bernie. I want to get back to talking about Bernie and his accolades, since he was 10-4 against the Pittsburgh Steelers, even though they were bragging of Super Bowls and everything. But Bernie put it to the Steelers more than one time.
I loved watching Bernie, man. It was my favorite player growing up.
Yeah, November 23rd, 1986. Browns 37, Steelers 31 in overtime at the old Cleveland Stadium. Bernie's 23rd birthday, and he's 61 now. You want to talk about time flying? Holy God. I can't even get a grip on that. Bernie threw for 414 yards and a game-winning touchdown to Webster Slaughter on a ridiculously good pump fake. Webster Slaughter, remember, man, I'll tell you what, we had it going on there for a while until Art Modell screwed everything up. Of course, the one game I think that everybody remembers, or our Browns fans always remember, the 51-0 drubbing in Three Rivers Stadium. And that was really a good one. Browns defense had 8 Steelers turnovers and turned 3 of them into touchdowns. I remember watching that game, me and my dad, and I can't tell you how excited and pumped up I was at 51-0 in Three Rivers Stadium, and we knocked off the Steelers. To me, that's still like, sometimes when these Steelers fans start yapping and stuff, I just like to post, 51-0, and they get the idea. And then Browns 28, Steelers 23 in 1993 in the Cleveland Stadium. One of the greatest performances ever. That's when Eric Metcalf ran 2 punts back for touchdowns. That was another. Oh man, that was so awesome. But the bad part about that was, it was like 8 days later, Art Modell waived Bernie Kosar, and then shortly thereafter announced the move to and moved the team to Baltimore. So it was kind of like it was a dud. But yeah, Eric Metcalf with the 2 punt returns. That's another good one that we like to talk about. That was
a marquee one. As far as other Steelers matchups, I don't remember a lot of the Steelers matchups. I remember a lot of key Bernie Kosar moments though growing up. Like him, I remember what got him benched. Remember when Belichick benched him because he kept calling his own plays?
Oh yeah.
He won the game. On Bernie's plays, and then he benched him. It's like, oh boy.
Oh, my sister says she's going back to bed. She doesn't like to hear all these highlights about the Pittsburgh. We're talking about your team's history. We're talking about the history of the Pittsburgh Steelers here, and she doesn't want to hear it. Come on now. How about this one? This is hard to believe. October 5th, 2023, Browns 33, Steelers 13 at Heinz Field. You want a depressing statistic? Lynn, you might want to stay up and listen to this one. That was the only time the Browns won at Heinz Field at that point.
Yeah. Sounds about right for us Browns.
Tim Couch threw for 2 touchdowns, ran for another score. And that's when Butch Davis was the coach, and then he resigned. And I'll tell you, I think Tim Couch got the short end of the stick getting drafted by the Browns when he did, because I thought he was a tough player. And watching him in that season, I mean, he took that team on his shoulder, and he took a beating that year. I saw them make so many plays or keep the ball and run and everything. I thought he had so much heart and so much guts. And a lot of people, he sucked. But
that was before, too, now they teams draft quarterbacks and they play right away. You know what I mean? Like they're it's like, okay, this guy's our number one guy. You have 3 or 4 rookie quarterbacks starting for teams every year. Back then, that was not the case. And so Tim Couch was like a precursor to that, and he just got killed.
He wrong team, wrong time, wrong place. Well, that's probably happened to a lot of people too. So, which was probably where we're probably heading again next year. Probably at the end of the season, you get rid of Stefanski and you get a new general manager, and then you're going to draft a quarterback, and then we're going to get a whole new scheme, and we're going to try to get this guy, and you could see it coming a mile away.
Boy, I hope they don't get rid of Stefanski, but they're probably gonna.
It's going to happen. And let's see. Yeah, Steelers 33, Browns 33-13 at Heinz Field. That was a big win with Tim Couch. Here's a trivia question. I was talking about this a little earlier that I might have to bring up when I'm at the Lube for the Browns Steelers game coming up on this next one in Austintown. Who is the only Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback to beat the Cleveland Browns 3 times in the same season?
Oh, Roethlisberger.
No.
No, it wasn't.
You would think it was Roethlisberger, but it wasn't.
3 times in the same season.
3 times in the same season. And I was surprised to see that. That's why I wrote it down, because See, if you're listening to this, and okay, why does my sister have to post like say what? And I see Cookie is tuning in. Yeah, Cookie was very quiet. Cookie's a big Steelers fan, and she was really quiet after usually when the Steelers are winning and everything, there's a lot of Steelers fans that like to send me messages. Like they obviously think I don't have a TV and they must feel sorry for me. And, they know I have to talk about this on the radio, so I have to be informed. So like they remind me of like, hey, you just missed it. Did you see that play? The Steelers just scored a touchdown. Or you get somebody like my sister, like, say what? She gets so annoying with the say what, especially live in person in all her Steelers gear. Say what? Say what? Shut up already. And that's like Cookie, who's checking in. She's another one. She'd come out the bike night like wearing a black and gold Steelers dress or something and just sit there in the front row, like flipping me off and stuff. It's like, why do people have to do that? I don't go out of my way to do that and be an obnoxious Cleveland Browns fan.
So who beat the Browns 3 times in the same year? It wasn't Roethlisberger.
Oh, I forgot we even had a question.
Yeah.
So much for that. It was Neil O'Donnell. Neil O'Donnell beat him 3 times in the same season. So
I'm remembering the Browns losing to the Steelers 3 times in the same year when Roethlisberger was there, but that was the Kelly Holcomb game where Kelly Holcomb came in for Tim Couch and played great, threw for like 500 yards, and Butch Davis went to the prevent and they lost. I can't remember who would have beat them the other time because it would have been Roethlisberger, at least 2 of those. I don't know who the third guy would have been.
Yeah.
Maybe it was,
Charlie Batch or somebody, Yeah. I have a picture of me and Charlie Batch like going at it, and he's pointing his finger in my face, and I'm wearing Browns gear. That they did it. You know what that was for? That was for a benefit at Austintown Fitch. The Steelers had a little basketball team, and they took on the faculty. And I'll tell you what, it was a packed house, and I was surprised in Austintown Fitch how many Steelers fans were there. I mean, and the teachers and the parents, and I'm like, okay, you people are ridiculous. You dragged me out here for this, and instead I get in an argument with Charlie Batch.
They're everywhere.
Yeah, really.
They're more than just Ohio, more than just around here too. They're literally everywhere. Like I think that team, those teams, that team's fans travel better than they used to be. The Cowboys was America's team. I think Steelers probably have more.
I will have to, and I hate to admit this, I do believe that the Steelers are America's team. I mean, you see the way their fan base takes over these stadiums. Everywhere, that game in Las Vegas was like a Steelers home game. It was so ridiculous, and especially if they're playing a team that's not doing too good. Boy, I'll tell you what, you know who's like that now too, and this has never happened because they're not doing too well. The Pens this year, they're not doing too well, and it seems like lately they have been having a lot of opposing teams come in the PPG lately. There's a lot of people that must have been giving up their season tickets or not wanting to go to the games or whatever. Right. And that my son was at that last game against Winnipeg, and he said there was a ton of Winnipeg fans in there, and it was like, and you see that with the Steelers. That's why the Steelers, I hate to admit it, but that's why the Steelers are always in prime time, and Steelers Nation. I mean, it just shows you that there's a lot of messed up people out there. It's kind of a sad shape of what the world is in when you got that much black and gold out there and so many people out there waving those terrible towels and wanting to go to games in Las Vegas and things like that. That's why, it's, when you're a Browns fan, it's a real character builder. Anybody could be a Steelers fan. Right. If your team wins 6-7 Super Bowls, anybody could be a San Francisco 49ers fan. Anybody could be a Patriots fan or whatever. Anybody could do that. When your team loses consistently, when your team has sucked since 1999 and you still watch the game on Sunday, you still buy the gear, you're still on the podcast yapping about it, it's I always say if the Cleveland Browns were in any other city other than Cleveland, they probably wouldn't have one fan. They would have been forced to move years ago. Nobody would have showed up. They would have been like the Oakland A's. They had 10,000 people at the games. But for some reason, here in Northeast Ohio, we have the Cavs that are doing fantastic. We got the Cavs that are just out there kicking ass. We had the Guardians that put together a great season. And we're still sitting here like hanging on to these guys like
we're gluttons for punishment.
Yeah. It's almost like a masochist, you know, and now it's to the point where, yeah, I'm a Browns fan, you know, screw you, you know, yeah, go ahead, hit me in the face. I'll take it. You know, you can't break my heart. Oh, that was a tough one. I'll never watch the Browns again next Sunday. You see that? You're still yelling at the TV. You're swearing at the radio. On Monday, you're still bitching all your friends and you're posting on Facebook. And it's just kind of crazy. It's like, you know, it's just like one of those relationships. All right. What does Cookie say? One day my brains will come in and you'll come to a living room. Okay. You know, no. Yeah, I'm just amazed at the Steeler Nation on how big it is. But you know what the cool thing about it is, and I hate to be like saying there's anything cool about the Steelers, but it's the fact that they're not a major market. They're this little town in the Youngstown, Cleveland, Pittsburgh area, you know? It's not some big fancy city. It's not like New York or LA. Actually, New York and LA, they don't seem to really care about their teams that much, you know,
no,
other than the Yankees, you know. But and my goofball sister, Rangers hockey. You know, now see, this is what I'm saying too. Today I saw somebody says, hey, it's Victory Monday. Cavs won, Browns won, Ohio State won. Okay. So when you look at it, if you're from Northeast Ohio, that's the way it's supposed to be. Okay. You're a Cavs fan. You're a Browns fan. You're a Guardians fan. You're an Ohio State fan. You're Ohio. You're Northeast Ohio. That's what you root for. Then we get these oddballs out there that their teams are the Steelers, Rangers hockey, and the Celtics or something, and Michigan. It's like, what the hell are you know, what sense does that make? Even Steelers fans, you get some of these guys. You know, I saw a guy the other day and I made a joke about it. And in a way, it kind of backfired on me. So this guy, he's there and he's wearing he had a Steelers jersey on or something. And so or maybe he had a Steelers tattoo. So whatever the case may be. And the next thing you know, he rolls up his sleeve and he has an Ohio State tattoo. After I was just making fun of somebody, like when I gave him that prize, I go, well, at least I give you credit. I said, the last guy I gave it to, he's standing here, he's got his Steelers gear and he's got an Ohio State tattoo. This guy rolls up his sleeve and he's got a Steelers tattoo and an Ohio State tattoo. And I'm like, dude, make up your mind, okay? It's Ohio or Pennsylvania. You know, that's the way. If you know, you should have a Penn State logo. Where's your Pitt logo? You know, you should be Penguins, Pirates, Pitt, Penn State, Steelers, and then you're good to go. Not this. Okay, yeah, my sister. Oh, I live in New York. Yeah, you know. Yeah.
That's a weird one though. When people root for Ohio State and then root for the Steelers, as a compute, but there's a lot of them.
Yeah, I know.
Like that.
One of my all-time favorite stories. I tell it a million times. I probably tell it every day. I was in Niagara Falls one time, and this guy was wearing like a Steelers jacket, an Ohio State shirt, and he had some other like mismatched hat on, like a Michigan hat or something. Or might have been a Guardians Indians hat, whatever. And I go over to him. I go, hey, you're from Youngstown, aren't you? He goes, how'd you know? And I said, I could just tell. You know, I could just tell. You know, it's like, you know, I didn't want to say, did you see how you're dressed? You know,
Right.
But yeah, it's crazy that people do that. Maybe, since we got Cookie and little Linny here, and they all like to hear about the Browns and the Steelers. Let's see. How about this one? November, or did we already talk about this? November 14th, 1999, Browns win 16-15 in what was considered by most to be the biggest upset of the 1999 season. The newly rebuilt Cleveland Browns came into Pittsburgh week number 9 with a 1-8 record. and nearly 0% of chance of beating the 5-3 Steelers. Oh, okay. Yeah, that was the Tim Couch and Phil Dawson. How about Phil Dawson being like our leading scorer?
He was for a while.
You know, and you know what? The Browns had opened the 1999 season. I remember this. The Steelers, we played the Steelers at home, first game, and we got blown out 43-0. And I think to this day, Big Ben still might be the winningest quarterback in Cleveland Browns Stadium. I know it was like that for the longest time.
I think Baker Mayfield took that over.
I hope so.
I think he did. I think it took him a couple seasons to do it, but I think Baker Mayfield finally took that crown, thankfully.
And you know what's crazy about that 1999 season? Okay, so the Steelers opened up, they beat us 43-0. We come back and we win that other one. And then they lost, they went on a 6-game losing streak and finished the season with 6-10. Yeah, so you know, I'd like to just point out some Pittsburgh Steelers history with, I'm sure my diehard Steeler friends are enjoying this, lovely recap on Bernie Kosar's birthday. It is our Bernie Kosar birthday celebration here, and I'll tell you what, I remember the very first. And this is going to show how old I am. I remember the very first Cleveland Browns Steelers game I went to. It was in 1969. And we went there on a YMCA bus trip. So the YMCA bus trip would be like 40 kids pack onto a bus, and they got like 2 or 3 chaperones, and you sit in the highest level of the upper deck. You always get the good seats. And I remember going there, and the first real brawl that I seen like in close proximity to me was at that game. And even though I was 12 years old, I was still kind of, shitting my pants a little bit, because you're there, you're not there with your parents or anything. And these guys just start going at it. It was Browns fans and Steelers fans. And I mean, they're just going at it. And then the one guy reaches into his coat pocket, and I picture this as clear as day. He pulls out a can of Kohler's beer back in the day. It was made in Erie, Kohler beer, and they had Uncle Dutch on the commercial, Kohler Caller. And this is when you actually had to have a can opener to pop these beers and drink them and stuff. This guy gets this steel beer can, and at like almost point blank range, just smashes it into this Steelers fan's head. He just threw it at him from like this far, and like, boom, the dude's like busted open. He starts bleeding. The cops finally come up there. They, and here's all his kids just sitting there going, "Oh, where's my dad? Yeah. Where's my mom? I don't know, But you know what? And that was Chuck Noll's first year as head coach of the Steelers. That was Mean Joe Green's first game against the Browns. And the Browns won, by the way. And they didn't win too many against them until, years to come. But anyways, that was, but the thing that I remember the most from that, and I still remember to this day, it was like right when the Beatles' Abbey Road came out, and they had the bus driver had it on an 8-track on the bus, and he played it all the way there repeatedly, and he played it all the way back. And I was just blown away as to how good that was. I was like mesmerized. It didn't even matter like the game or anything. I was like, holy shit, is this good? And today, to this day, it's still one of my favorites. But that's the first time I heard it. And it was just like, I didn't even want to talk to anybody or anything on the way back. I was just like, I got to listen to this, and it wasn't too long after that I went out and bought it. But that was the one thing that I remember about that trip. And of course, Mean Joe Green, and did I say Bill Cowher? Who did I mean? The other guy.
Chuck Noll.
Yeah, Chuck Noll. Did I say Chuck Noll?
Yeah, you said that.
Okay. Sometimes I don't know. I'll look back at the comments, the next day or something. Somebody saying, "Hey, you said this or you said that." I don't know half the time. Our friend Brenda's checking in today. Hi, Brenda. How are you? I saw Brenda posted some Thanksgiving pictures. So her and her family, it looked like they're having a nice Thanksgiving. I can't believe it's Thanksgiving already. I mean, this month went by like a second, which is probably good because November sucks anyways, and it's getting worse.
Yeah.
So, as long as but it's like even this year this year to me went by like, you know,
it's flowing, especially summer. Summer is just
this
around here just
and this summer wasn't really good. That wasn't one of my banner summers. Although I was busy and we did a lot of things, but I mean, we're just kind of like doing the things that I want to do. You know, it just didn't pan out that way. Well, what do you think? You want to wrap this up here?
Sure.
Yeah, so as long as we properly celebrated Bernie Kosar's birthday with some
Bernie.
brown steel. Yeah, Bernie, here you go.
Cheers to Bernie. Happy birthday, Bernie.
Yeah, we used to have all those Bernie songs. Remember Bernie, whoa, how you can throw.
You know what one I play all the time, my wife thinks is hilarious, is last year, every time the Browns won, I would remember that terrible "Here Come the Browns" song.
Oh, I love it. Yes.
I would blast it through the house so she knew they won.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Here comes the Browns. Here comes the Browns. Onward to victory. Here comes the Browns. Here comes the Browns. The number one Browns. The pride of Cleveland. The Cleveland Browns. You know who else has a good Cleveland Browns song is Michael Stanley.
Which one was his?
It's it's the Cleveland Browns. It's 1st and 10. Oh, it starts out
I don't know if I know
back in 1960 in the driving rain. My father took me to my very first game.
I don't know that one.
And here we go again. Here we go again.
Yeah.
The Cleveland Browns, and it's 1st and 10. So get on your feet and let the games begin, because here we go again.
Okay, I remember it now.
And it has a ton of people on there. It's like an all-star. I think Clarence Clemens is on there, and Joe Walsh, and probably Drew Carey, and one of the R&B singers from Canton is on there. And when it first came out, though, I didn't like it. And I remember I was making fun of it on the air. And some people called up Michael Stanley and told him I'm dissing his song, I was friends with Michael, not good buddies, but I mean, we're, and, I kind of apologize. It's kind of like, dude, I'm just messing around. But yeah, boy, somebody narked me out like in 2 minutes. And now when I listen to it, I think it's still, oh, you know who else sings on it? Lou the Toe. He's got people like Lou the Toe. I think Jim Brown might be on there. So, then after a while, I thought, okay, yeah. If you got Lou the Toe on your song, come on, man. But yeah. Oh, and then they used to have another one that came out right at the very beginning. And I have a tape of it somewhere. I got this on reel to reel. It was called Brother Arts Revival. And when they were able to draft, them. It was one of those guys that was like a big lounge singer back in the day. He played at all the fancy, Sheridan Inn, West Middlesex and stuff of those kind of places back in the day. And I can't remember who it was, but, and it was like, Brother Arts Revival. And it's talking about how God let us, draft Bernie in the supplemental draft. And that's another one. But, and then Pat Daly had a song out too. Hello, America. This is Brownstown. We are Cleveland, hanging tough. Hey, oh, how about them dogs, And then here we go, Brownies. Here we go. And then, it's there was a lot of good ones out there.
My big two were Here Come the Browns and then Bernie. I just remember those as a kid. They played on the radio all the time. And then if they won, all last year, every time they were winning, I kept blaring. I think I only got to play it 3 times this year.
Yeah. We had that one, and then me and Steve Vuich wrote a real good one. It's called Browns and Steelers Day. And it's like a Bruce Springsteen song. It's kind of like Jungle Land or whatever. And it's talking about, growing up, in a house divided, hearts broken by the cardiac kids, and it's just like, the uncles are fighting with each other and they end up, one guy hits the guy in the head with an Iron City bottle. And that was a good one. And then we had another one. It was called the Cleveland Sports Fan Blues, although that one doesn't work too well anymore. But it was like, it was like, I got it just goes through the whole thing, the Red Right 88 and all that stuff. And it was a pretty good blues song. And then there was this guy over in Hubbard. I think his name was John Strong. And he had two really good ones. He had Mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be Steelers. They'll say things real dumb, like, here's one for your thumb. Well, I got a finger for you. Mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be Steelers. They'll wear black and gold and tell stories of old and something, and they'll blow. They live in the past and blow smoke up your ass, and that's a good one too. I still got all those. When I play out, like in the Browns and Steelers during the commercials, I'll throw those in. But yeah, Mama, don't let your babies grow up to be Steelers. Then you got the Pittsburgh Steeler polka, which is kind of funny, with Jimmy Paul. He was like the Greek. He was a Greek, but he was like the polka king. And he had a little dog named Polka Pete. And he owned radio station WNIO, and he owned WWIZ over in Mercer. And then he owned like an AM station in Pittsburgh. And he ended up coming up with that Pittsburgh Steelers polka. We're from the town with the good football team. Let's go and win one Steelers, Franco and all of the rest, And so I worked with him for a while. And the one day I had to take the tape up to Peppermint Productions. And so at the time, I didn't have a driver's license. Okay. So I'm supposed to get this tape up to Peppermint Productions because they had to cut the record. It had to be there. And so I'm taking it, and I'm right down here in downtown Youngstown by the Market Street Bridge, and I'm waiting for the light. And all of a sudden, the car behind me pulls out into the other lane and gets broadsided by a truck. The car, it comes flying down, and it stops, and it just touches my bumper. I mean, it was like, it just went, it just came to a stop, and it just touched it. No damage, no nothing. I didn't even feel it. I look in the rearview mirror and I see it. And wouldn't you know it, there's a cop right behind them, 3 cars back. Boom, they put on the lights, and I'm like, hey, I got to get going here. There's no damage to my car. And I go, you can't leave this scene. You're involved in an accident, and there's physical contact made on your car, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, shit, So next thing you know, they take me down to jail for just sitting there. I wasn't doing anything, So they take me and they tow my car, and I still got the Pittsburgh Steelers master tape in my trunk or in my back seat. And I'm like, oh, man, what am I going to do? So I get out, and I get my one buddy, and we go up there, and nobody was looking at that Vendetti's tow yard over there on the east side. We jumped in and just took off. And I guess, and it's probably hard to do, but technically, if you get your car out of there, there's not a lot they can do because it's their job to make sure that your car is secure. So if they, if you happen to be one of the lucky ones that would sneak in there, although I don't think you could do that now with all these places are so fenced off and everything. Back then it wasn't, but the car was just sitting right there, and we just, let's get it, man. Jump in there, take off. And it was like, and I got and I got the Pittsburgh Steelers tape to the Peppermint Productions, and the day was saved, and everything was good. So that's my connection to the Pittsburgh Steelers polka.
Yeah, nice.
Yep. All right, BJ, let's wrap this up here. So what do you got going, Turbo Lovers? You got any gigs coming up here for the holidays anywhere? Or?
Yeah, December 28th, we're at the New Manhattan.
Oh, I saw that.
With the Riley Burke band. So it'll be fun. It's 8 o'clock, no coverage. But that's the Saturday between Christmas and New Year.
Yeah.
So it should be a packed house, and it'll be fun time.
Yeah. New Year. And, New Manhattan's always a fun place. Oh, yeah. Good rock club out there. All right. I think the only thing I got coming up, Brown Steelers. Well, I'll probably be down at the Lou Graham show on Saturday. I'll be down there for that. And Brown Steelers at the Lube in Austin Town. I'll be out there for that. And I know I'm missing something, but that's about it. So I think, we didn't even get a chance to sample the Cleveland Cavaliers beer. It's called Easy Bucket Blonde from Great Lakes Brewery.
Oh, gotcha. Nice.
So yeah, we'll get it another day.
I didn't see that one. Nice.
Yep. That's okay. We were too busy doing what we were doing. And don't forget Nitro Circus tomorrow. And Y103, let's see, what are we doing? We're giving away, we have your chance to win a trip to Vegas to see Sammy Hagar at his residency at the MGM there. So you want to party like a VIP for free? Try to win 10:35, 1:35, 4:35 mornings with Bob and Tom. All right, thanks everybody for sharing some time with us. Happy birthday, Bernie, and we are glad to share these Bernie Kosar highlights of Brown Steelers history with everybody since Bernie was 10-4 against the Black and Gold.
Happy birthday, Bernie.
Yep, you got it. All right, take care, man. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this show on Youngstown Studio. This is original Youngstown content. Feel free to share our videos and tell your friends about us. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook.